10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. We have a liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Orbit Sports Podcast presented by Shotgun Sports Network. I'm Daniel.
I'm Frazier.
Strap in, we're ready for launch. Orbit Sports is powered by W Energy, the official fuel for staying locked in all game long. We're talking clean energy. No sugar, no crash, no nonsense. Just smooth focus. Whether you're breaking down game film, grinding on the job site, or calling out bad takes from the cheap seats. If you're trying to stay sharp from kickoff to final whistle, W's in your corner. Head over to w.gg and use the code ORBITHSV. That's ORBITHSV to save on your order. W Energy. Keep your game in orbit. So last week we made some pretty bold predictions. You were on the fence about the HCFC and what the outcome would be of that match. I thought that the boys in blue would ultimately drop the home opener 3-1, and I was not even close. As for the Havoc, I thought the Havoc would get a win on Friday against Roanoke with Willie in the goal, and we'd possibly get to see Proctor on home ice. You predicted that the rowdy crowd in the VBC would help lead the boys to home as well. I got this one halfway right. The Havoc raced to the finish for a win on Friday and did end up losing on Saturday. However, no Proctor nor a shutout. We also talked about some games around the SPHL. You made a pretty good prediction that Hayden Stewart would get another shutout on the season, and we agreed that the Bulls would get a sweep on the weekend. However, we had no shutout for Hayden Stewart, but he did get his 100th career win, and the Bulls had one win and one overtime loss. With Knoxville and Peoria, we differed a little bit here. You were bold, and you said that Knoxville would get the sweep, while I thought that they would split the series. We were both wrong on this one as well. Peoria got back into winning form as they swept the weekend. And when it came to the last spot in the playoffs, we had Fayetteville and Macon. We agreed that this would be a sweep for Macon, and we got this one dead wrong too. They split the weekend as the Marksmen are really showing that they are the dark horse for the last spot in the playoffs. This week, we're going to talk about the HCFC matchup against Chattanooga. Huntsville won this one 4-2 in a shootout. We were lucky enough to have Tabby from Shotgun Sports in the stadium for this game, and she said that the place was absolutely electric. They had little over 3,500 fans packed in, and she talked about how great the atmosphere was inside the stadium and how super into the match that the crowd was, and that both sides brought out the brigades of drums. One of the coolest things to hear about from Tabby was that this stadium is very, very kid-friendly. They had an entire area for kids to play soccer that even included a rocket engine that had a smoke effect during the player entries, halftime, as well as every goal that was scored. The player entry was also super cool. She said that they had blue smoke that the players walk through as they come out onto the field, as well as everything that they had on the Jumbotron. She really, really recommended this and said that this is a good way to get out of the house, enjoy the weather, and kind of be together as a family and support our local teams.
You know, how cool would that be if you were playing that sport and you got to come out to blue smoke?
I think that's really cool, considering that the color's blue, the rocket engine, just everything that kind of goes with it. I think that that's a really nice addition.
Yeah, and you know, the kid zone, just from seeing it on the camera, looked really cool. Like, the kids were having a blast over there. I mean, there was even non-kids that were going over there and look at the rocket engine, checking it out. And you could just see that on the camera and all the people that were just going to that area.
I could see that being really cool to be at, and I hope that I get a chance to go. I know I plan on making a couple games this year. What I thought was really cool about this is that these local sports teams really give back to the community, and I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is to support these teams, not only for the sport, but also for the area. They give so much back as far as putting money into the game, putting experience into the game, coaching kids. I mean, the HCFC even has their own academy, right?
Oh, yes, they definitely do. And I mean, kids of all ages can come into this academy and they can learn from HCFC staff members that are coaches for them, and they can grow their game to one day possibly playing for this team. Because I noticed if you go on the website, they show you the different tiers that they can go through, and there was even like open auditions for the team. So if they go through this academy and want to audition for the team, they could eventually do that one day.
That's really cool. I mean, can you think about coming out of high school and playing for the MLS Next Pro?
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool. So what I ask of all of our fans and all of our supporters and everybody around the Alabama, Huntsville area, go to a game, learn a new sport. I don't know much about soccer. I've learned a lot from Tabby and from Frazier as well. Go to a game, learn a new sport. I know I've learned a lot from Tabby as well as from Frazier.
Yeah.
And most importantly, spend time with your family. Get out into the nice air. Get out while it's not hot. And even when it is hot, while they're playing night games, it's a lot more bearable. And really connect with family. And I think that's what's the most important about sports is connecting with your family.
Yeah, I would love to see the stadium packed out. But right now with the hockey going on, that's been the big staple for a while. I think that's drawing most of the people. So I think as hockey season comes to an end, that we'll see more people come out and go to a Trash Pandas game, and they'll go to the HCFC because I really want to see it packed. I want to see them supporting the boys in blue. And I know that Nashville SC, the leaders there want to see that as well. They want to see Huntsville coming out and supporting because that is like our main home is up there, and they have faith that we can really become a quality MLS Next Pro team.
Tabby got some time while she was at the game after to talk on the sideline with Coach Chris O'Neill to ask him some questions about improvements that the team made from the last few games as well as the big moments from this game.
I think it's a very simple one, actually. I think in the last few away games, we kind of got away from how we position ourselves to be able to deal with transition moments. And I think tonight it was a little bit better. I think we were able to kind of, just with the tactical approach in terms of being able to keep the back line intact and then be able to kind of snuff out opportunities. And well, honestly, I think the second half, they kind of had a little bit more of the momentum, and it wasn't necessarily anything that we changed or anything like that. But they were able to push a lot of guys very high with the threat of being able to go long. And I think it's just, again, kind of being able to keep up that line intact and not really see the real clear chance.
How much did the home crowd influence the team's energy tonight? Are they excited to be back home?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the first 3 games all away, it's always very difficult in that moment. And then get back here and have fans and, I think it's a new experience for a lot of those guys because they didn't have a ton of turnover in the roster, but them actually being here and we can talk about it as much as we want, but then feeling the energy and feeling everything from the crowd helps you find that extra gear. And yeah.
And what does this win mean for your team moving forward?
I think we have a big break, so it's very good to be able to go into it after having competed the way that we want to compete. So we can actually enjoy our break and not kind of do something other things. But we're also expecting a few more new additions to start coming in next couple of weeks as well. So that'll be able to also add a little bit of burst and a little bit of firepower to what we have.
While there, Tabby got a good chance to sit down with the goalie, Will McKay, who ultimately got a win on his 18th birthday. From Orbit Sports Podcast, we would like to wish you a happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I mean, it feels awesome. I mean, it's just an electric environment here. We're so thankful for everybody that comes out and supports the team. But just to do it in front of the home fans, it's always special.
So I know sitting in the press box, the Chattanooga side over there were loud as all get out. Can you hear them at all?
Yeah, I mean, they were talking the whole game, drumming. But I mean, it only adds to the environment. Helps makes the game matter even that much more. And being the local rivalry, it's always good to get a win and then when we're playing Shine League.
How does the team finish to help you on the field? And what did the team do tonight to really support you?
It's good. I mean, one thing we focused on in training this week was really reacting and pressing together because that's something we haven't been great at. But I thought collectively our defensive effort to get back in and do the dirty work that doesn't show up on the stats, that was really good this week and really good in the game. I think you can't win without everybody on the team. It's a collective effort.
Absolutely.
So the HCFC played a great game with a ton of passes. This game, they probably had more passes than they have all season. And I don't even think it's a probably. It's not even close. They had 654 passes with 88.8% in passing.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of passing. I think with that, they top the league out in passing right now.
I agree, and it's by miles. But I also think that that helps them break down the defense and to be able to see the field and who's moving where to be able to actively attack. For as many times as they pass the ball, I feel like that's a really good percentage. I mean, you're talking 650 times, 88%. That's a lot of received passes.
Yeah, they're working on passing and making connections when they pass. Because if you pass the ball and it goes past the guy you're passing to, that lowers your percentage, and they're really trying to focus on that so that they can take the next step in getting past the defense to score a goal. That seems like something they're working on in their game.
I think one thing that really shocked me was that they started out super strong with this one. One of the HCFC superstars, Mohammed, he got a goal in the 15th minute. And then a little while later, Eck, not to be outdone, scored a goal in the 37th minute. And then Chattanooga wouldn't go down without a fight, and they made it 2-1 in the second minute of the stoppage time. Chattanooga would then go to tie it up in a penalty kick in the 77th minute. However, the HCFC defense would hold them as they pushed into the closing minutes and made the game go into a shootout. This is the part that really surprised me. They're a very young club. They haven't had any shootouts this season, but they were absolutely perfect. Statistically, the boys in blue absolutely dominated this game. They led in almost every stat category that I feel really matters from the outside looking in. Block shots, passes, accuracy, goalkeeper saves, clearances, and the big one for me is the no yellow cards.
Yeah, that's very huge to try to stay as penalty free as possible. And I think winning the shootout was great because I think the goalie learned from when he essentially missed on that penalty kick blocking the ball. I think he learned that, hey, I need to focus more on where he's going with his body so I can try to judge where that ball is going. And ultimately he did. And I was very proud of him, especially to be basically high school age, like graduating high school and come out and into a development pro league and play top notch in a shootout.
And I think that, hats off to him. He did a great job in the shootout and really in the game in total. And I think that's a testament of them building the club. I think that he's a great goalie that they can lean on this season and be able to unwantingly make mistakes, but he's got their back to back it up. In the few games that I've seen, he's made a lot of really great saves.
Yes, he really has. And I think this is a boost in confidence for his leadership for the team.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we know Muhammad and Eck are key leaders for the team.
Yeah.
But they're leaders on the offensive side of the ball. Right. And for him, this helps the defense. And that's a boost that they had needed in their past couple of games. And I think he's really digging into that to help the defense get stronger.
I could see that. The thing that they didn't really lead in, I feel kind of matters and then kind of doesn't. They were 1 behind in shots and 2 behind on shots on goal. And while I know that both of those are important statistically, when you have such a great goalie, I feel like it's not as crucial to have a leading number in shots and a leading number on shots on goal. However, I'm pretty sure that you want to lead in those categories as well.
Yeah, you do. If you look at how many passes they had, that tells me that they were struggling to trust their confidence in taking shots. I think that's where the coaching staff is working on developing them in their offense, is for them to be able to say, hey, maybe we need to try to see if we can find a hole in the defense so that we're not passing as much and we can shoot and try to score. And I think right now they're going to be working on trying to get just any kind of shot toward the goal to see if they can actually focus later on getting the quality of shots down.
Chattanooga FC had a lot of fouls in this match with a total of 16 and 2 yellow cards. And I feel like that could have been a very big difference maker in this match.
Yeah, the 2 yellow cards really added to what Huntsville could do because yellow cards is essentially just a turnover.
And they did lead in offsides, which is another category that I don't think you really want to lead in. It doesn't really seem to add to success in that aspect.
No, you get an offsides ball immediately goes back over to the other team. So that's just a free. They were just giving Huntsville the ball freely. They were basically, it's like me walking up to you, Daniel, and saying, "Hey, here, you want the ball?" And then you run off and you just play with it. You know.
So overall, I think that this was a great rebound game for them. I think coming home and them being able to play off the crowd really helped them out a lot. But I think getting the W at home in the way that they did it in a dramatic fashion really adds to the confidence of this team moving forward. And being able to prove to themselves that they can stay in matches and win matches late into games and shootouts when necessary. I also think that the shootout seemed to showcase some other guys. We know that not just one or two guys can score goals. We know that 4 guys can score goals.
Yeah, I just think Chattanooga FC they just seemed towards closer to the end. They had hit their stride really hard, and they did it so hard and so fast that they just got gassed when it came to the shootout. Because earlier in the week they had to go play in the Lamar U.S. Open Cup, and they had to go do that match, and that's just a lot. I mean, they won that match, and it's hard to win back to back like that, especially when you're playing a competitor like Huntsville City FC that's really right there matching them equally on the field. And it's very fascinating that the only thing that really separates us is the Tennessee River. So you can call this the Tennessee River rivalry, Tennessee River rumble, whatever you want to call it. But that's just something that adds to this rivalry game.
So has this always been a rivalry game, considering the proximity of the two?
Yeah, this is one of our bigger rivals.
So it'll be interesting to see moving forward what that looks like, because nobody likes to take an L, obviously. But I would like to commend the boys in blue. They did a great job coming out. They put on a spectacular show for all the fans, all the kids, everybody watching on television. And we get another home game. April 11th at 7 p.m., they come back to Wicks Family Field, and they take on Chicago Fire 2 FC. This is also a Run Rocket City night, highlighting the 5K that's done in Huntsville. And I think that it's kind of funny that a 5K is with them, considering how much running they actually do in soccer.
Yeah, they run a whole lot. I ran a 5K myself personally, and that is a very challenging thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. It will be nice for the team to get a little bit of a break. They get some time off. They get to rest. They get to gel. They get to get a little more practice in and kind of focus on some of these things as far as maybe getting more shots on goal. And I'm super excited for this one. Chicago Fire 2 is kind of just above us in the standings right now. However, I think that after the hard, long 3-game away series, they come home, they get a win, they get a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I think coming into this matchup, they keep the home win streak alive. They go to 2-0 at home, and they win this one 2-1.
Yeah, I just hope that being off for 2 weeks, that they stay in their rhythm. They keep doing what the coaches ask them to do, and they don't get that rust factor on them. I hope they stay with exactly where the coaches want them to be, because they were really getting into their groove, and it felt like Chattanooga started feeding into that a little bit and getting their own groove. But then Huntsville was like, no, we've got to get back to who we are, and that shootout. It was awesome. That's probably one of the better shootouts from a home team that I've seen, even just from MLS teams or from just watching soccer.
I mean, it's got to be pretty hard to be perfect in a shootout.
Yeah, the stats on that are pretty low to be perfect in a shootout. But the fact to have a goalie on his birthday, 18 years old, something I probably couldn't do myself.
No.
To go in there and own it, I was very impressed with the goalie and how he, on his birthday, he really came out and did his best, that he could do for an 18-year-old. Yeah, he may have missed one or two, but for his offense to back him up and get out there and just say, hey, we can produce offense. Yes, it may take a shootout to do it, but we're going to help our goalie because it's his birthday and they want to shout out happy birthday by being perfect.
And I can't imagine what that's got to feel like to get a win, much less a big win like that at home on your birthday. That's got to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think for me personally, if it was my birthday and I got a win like that, I'd be celebrating in that locker room.
To get a more in-depth and recap of the game, head over to shotgunsportsnetwork.ca and read Tabby's article. She did a fantastic job on this one, and I'm super proud of her, and I feel that everybody should give that a good read. It's definitely a good recap of everything that's happened in her conversation and whatnot. Definitely a great read.
Yeah, I'm very impressed that she was able to hone her skills that she's learned and go and write an article. And I'm also just wanting to say thank you to HCFC for the hospitality that they showed Shotgun Sports, and just for my frost buddy that they gave me. They didn't have to do that.
No.
Knowing I'm such a big fan of soccer, and that's only come within like the last couple of years that I've really gotten into it. That just means a lot to me.
That was really cool, and I mean, it was a really cool frost buddy. I know I got a chance to watch you open it, and I think that that was a very nice gift to them. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So when we look at the standings, we currently have Crown Legacy, who we got to see a few weeks ago, and we've got Orlando on top of the Southeast Division. We dropped one to Crown Legacy, but we beat Orlando. So I feel like it gives us a good testament of where we can be in the standings. And I know it's still very early in the season to look at this. But as the season goes on, we'll get to see more of where these teams stack up and where they are. From a statistical standpoint, looking back at some data points from other years, I don't think that there's a lot of reason to worry about the HCFC. They're not a team that has historically come out to a hot blazing start. They're more of a mid to late season kind of bloomer, putting themselves in positions to be higher in the standings later in the year, which is kind of where you want to be, I would think. You gel and you get there at the right time.
Yeah, that's really what you want to do. If you come out just starting way too hot, you could burn out mid-season and just lose your stride. You really want to say, hey, we're making mistakes early in the season. We're making this mistake, this mistake, this mistake. And I see that Huntsville City FC really noticed the mistakes they were making on the road, and they really 100% I can see tried to focus on that, like their transitions when the coming from offense to defense. I really saw that was a big highlight for them, and like you said, if you look back in years past, they really gelled later in the season. I think we have the team to do that.
I agree. They can definitely make a strong run later in the season to be one of the top teams in the division. I'm really excited to get to learn soccer this year. It's not a sport that I've been around a whole lot, so getting to learn from you and Tabby has definitely been a lot of fun. And moving forward, I'm excited to watch my fandom for the sport grow.
Yeah, the one thing that really excites me is, I like space, so I want to go see that rocket.
I do too. That's got to be mind-blowing to see. I was super jealous when Tabby was telling me about it.
And the blue smoke. I've never seen blue smoke.
No, I've only seen it in like fireworks. So
yeah,
to see a good display like that from the rocket ship has got to be outstanding.
And I just want to meet just the HCFC. Like, I'm just really excited to do all that.
I am. It's been really fun to sit down with you and get to learn about soccer and talk about Huntsville sports in general.
Well, we can do that when we go to the game.
I would love that. So let's dive into the big part of the show, the Havoc.
The Havoc.
So over the weekend, the Havoc hosted the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. And as always, this was a packed house of the rowdiest hockey fans in the South. The Havoc put on a promotion for spring break, so there was $10 tickets, as well as Friday being racing night and Saturday being wrestling night. On Friday, the Havoc were down 2-0 before they raced back to tie it up in the second period. Josh Keshner started putting together the keys to having one of his biggest games as a Havoc this season. In the third period, the Havoc players really put it together, and they played absolutely lights out. Kessner scored 2 goals in the third period and got him the hat trick, the coveted hat trick.
And also the car wash.
We did. We got the car wash
the
Friday.
Free car wash.
Did you get your car wash yet?
No, I haven't used my car wash.
Me either. I need it, though. So, thanks to Sure Time for sponsoring the Havoc and giving us free car washes when the Havoc do amazing like they did on Friday. Also, while we're giving shout-outs, attaboy, Josh Kessner getting the hat trick. I'm sure that had to feel amazing as a Havoc player to come home, play in Huntsville, and get a hat trick in such a big game.
Congratulations on the hat trick, and also his new baby being born.
Yeah, congratulations. Beautiful, precious baby. I got to see some pictures on Instagram and Facebook today.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures too. We're so excited for you, Kess Daddy.
Attaboy. Collectively, I think the veterans really came together and played lights out. We talked about Kessner's hat trick, but we had Austin Alger had a goal. He also had an assist. Reginato had a goal. I mean, these are veteran players that really stepped up and helped some of the younger guys, which it seems that Havoc have gotten a lot of the younger guys on their roster this year. So having these veteran guys really coach them up, show them, set them up for success, passing, assist, whatever it needed to be, they were there. Yannick had 2 assists on the night. Golka had an assist. Like I said, just veteran guys stepping up. But seeing the young guys starting to get really involved in this team is promising and exciting to watch. The Havoc did really well on power plays. They went 3 for 5, and they had a lot of shots. And from what I've watched of the Havoc, when they can put a lot of shots on goal and kind of wear a goalie out, they seem to win those games.
Yeah, they really seem to score more goals too, because there was one game against Birmingham where they were shooting all the shots and beating them like 8-0.
I feel like there's an over-under with the Havoc, and if I had to guess, roughly it's got to be 38. I think when they can, I'll say 35.
Yeah.
I feel like when they shoot more than 35 shots, they usually get W's.
Yeah, they typically get us the car wash those nights.
Playing Roanoke, I feel, is always a hard series. They're a super chippy team. They create a lot of penalties. They get you out of character. They egg you on into situations. I feel like this is one of those teams that they can kind of beat anybody just by their style of play. They can play the boards with the big boys. They can skate fast because they really do have some fast skaters. Winmar, Dorsey, Novotny, these are all really fast skaters. They're able to get breakaways, get down the ice, create odd-numbered situations, and execute.
And they also know how to egg the other team on to get into fights. And
they're good at that.
Yeah, they're really good at that. You know, even with David Novotny being a former Havoc player, he really knew how to get under their skin.
So speaking of penalties, this was kind of a penalty-heavy game, and I think it came down more towards that third period. There were a lot of penalties I felt more in that third period. Roanoke had 51 minutes, but Huntsville wasn't far behind them at 47.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout-out to one of the younger players on the team, Dawson Chirino. He's a player that has really upped his game since he's come to Huntsville. He played well while he was in Pensacola, so I don't want to take away from his time there. But I think having the veteran support around him that we have, Dom, Yannick, Risk, Kessner, I think that really helps him grow and gel with the team. Seeing him around with the boys in the pregame, getting to talk to him a little bit and see him with the guys at the Booster Club end of the year party. He really fits in well with the team, and it seems that he's gelled in well since he's come in kind of later in the season.
Yeah, just watching them play on the ice, I hear his name called a lot more. Yeah. Assists, goals. I mean, when we go to wrestling night, which we'll talk about the actual wrestling part in a few minutes, but just to know that he was able to get the 2-star of that game, and that we lost that game.
So I think the thing that really I'm excited to watch is he plays so well. He's super fast.
Yeah,
he can really get down the ice, but his stick and puck handling skills are insane. He can weave it through guys. He can kind of cross over and get some guys spun around and pass back to himself. But he's also not selfish. He's very quick to notice the play's not there and get it off and then charge the goal to get his assist.
Yeah, I noticed as the ice was very slippery over the weekend, he wasn't slipping as much as other players were. He really had control and knew how to not get in a slip and slide situation.
I'm excited to see what his future looks like as a Havoc, as well as a player in general.
Yeah, and I think Golka can really complement him in a lot of ways.
I do. I think that their games are very similar, so I think that he can kind of lean on Cole Golka a little bit. They're both fast. They both pass well, and they both can shoot.
Oh, yes.
They both can definitely shoot.
And they're players that both realize that when they're not scoring goals, they know how to be a team player to get an assist.
You have to
get
find a
into
way to
pass.
contribute.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll get to Saturday, and I think we had a pretty big addition with Cam Cook coming in. Very experienced veteran guy. Played for a few different teams in the SPHL. Played for a lot of teams in the ECHL. This year he spent a lot of time in the ECHL, and I think that him coming in later in the season is a good and a bad thing. I wish we would have had him sooner, obviously, but I don't think anybody can knock him for playing in ECHL, obviously.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for the playoffs to have him on the team.
I agree. It gives us a little bit of depth in shooters. And when you look at the Havoc roster now, I mean, they're stacked with shooters. They really are. And I think that that's really going to catapult their offense moving forward once we can get some gel happening.
Because I think the Havoc are set up the defense side with Lincoln Earn and Brian Wilson.
Don't forget Ben Schulteis.
Yeah, Ben Schulteis. But those three right there, they've got the defense locked down.
And even Kevin Weaver Vitale, watching him this weekend, I thought he played some really good defense.
Yeah, and our captain Dom, he likes to play the middle of the ice, play defense, and he'll get some assists occasionally, and he'll pass. But that middle of the ice is really where he starts to set his defense. And if
he's very dominant there.
Yes, he very well is. But you know what I found hilarious about this weekend was our captain's named Dominic, and the other team had a player named Dominix. Thought that was very interesting.
That would have been a fun fight to see.
Yes, that would have been a really fun fight to see.
So on Saturday, we'll get to a little bit more about it, and we talked about the wrestling night. And me and you got a chance to watch the wrestling pregame. We got to watch a very entertaining show, I felt. It was definitely cheesy to say, but it was a lot of good laughs. It was good wrestling. The kids loved it.
Yeah, it was a family-friendly wrestling.
It really was. The crowd really gathered around for it, which I was kind of shocked to see. I didn't know how that would go. But, I mean, they really packed around the ring. And getting to see everybody around until just about game time.
Yeah, I mean, the guys were already on the ice, and they were out there wrestling. The crowd was out there supporting them on.
Yeah.
And, I walked down where the rink was, the wrestling rink was a little bit, and you could feel the floor vibrating when they were hitting it.
Yeah.
Because where they were starting was on the little sky bridge. For those who go to the Prost Arena, there's a sky bridge where you can walk up the stairs, and all the wrestlers were starting up there, and they were running down the stairs, getting it hyped up. There was one guy had a bell he was ringing.
I wish I remembered his name, but he reminded me of a wrestler from like my childhood.
Yeah.
Kind of like 2 or 3 of them. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
to
well,
see.
speaking of him, there was one lady that approached him and said, "Hey, my nephew just can't come to the game. For some reason, he couldn't come to the game," and asked him if he would record a video for her nephew. And he stopped what he was doing. He recorded a video, shouted him out in the video, and that right there just really touched her, and I'm sure it really made the kid's day so much better.
Absolutely. So shout out to New South Wrestling for that and putting on such a great show and making such a family-friendly event. It was definitely fun to watch, and I would definitely find another event of theirs to go to for sure.
Well, this is the second year I've been a season ticket holder, and they've come back for a second year. And I feel like they're just going to keep having them come back because they bring such a family-friendly environment. And just to see during the game, just getting slammed into a table, doing fun little things, and then during the intermission, seeing them on the ice acting goofy for the kids, just entertaining them. That's what family-friendly wrestling is supposed to be.
I really thought it was entertaining, kind of their whole little skit during the game. You know, the bad guys come out and they talk bad about Huntsville, and then they run off. And then Chaos and Ruckus find them.
Oh, Chaos and Ruckus beat them.
And then they bring them out and slam them through a table. I mean, just to add that little bit of relief to the game, and I got some laughs around me to say was awesome and a whole lot of fun. However, the game made me a wreck. I was a nervous wreck for this game. I was really hoping for the sweep. We didn't get Proctor on the ice, which makes sense. Roanoke's number 2 team. We really needed a W here. I don't want to say that the Havoc come up short. The boys played their hearts out.
Oh, they definitely did.
And there was definitely a lot of frustration on the ice, I think, from both sides. There were some opportunities that I think that the Havoc couldn't exactly capitalize on the way that they hoped for. But I'm sure Coach Stu will get them ready for the next game.
I have no doubt in my mind Coach Stu will have them skating like champions.
So what really got me nervous was in the first period, there was no score. It was very low penalties. We had 4, 3 by Roanoke and 1 by the Havoc, and 2 of the Roanoke penalties were delay of games.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, not delay of games. Too many men on the ice.
Yeah, too many men on the ice.
Too many men on the ice. And then we get to the second period, and the Rail Yard Dogs go up 1-0. Again, 2 penalties for the Rail Yard Dogs, 1 for the Havoc, and it was really just it was a really clean game.
Yeah.
For the most part. I think the refs did a pretty good job of letting them play to a point. The only problem I have with that, I feel, is that sometimes these games get a little out of hand, and once a game gets past a certain point, it's so hard to get it back in check without having major penalties like they did Friday night.
Yeah, because you let it go, like you said, to that point, and the players are like, why are you calling this now? You didn't call it earlier.
Right.
So they have to, in a sense, just let it go and let it play out. And sometimes it can come back to haunt the players because the SPHL could look back at it and say, well, the refs didn't call this, so he's suspended. So
Right.
the refs have to have that certain balance because they don't want to. I know in their minds they probably don't want the players to get suspended because they missed a call.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how much I agree with that rule. I think that if it's missed, it's missed. Obviously, if it's something, a major penalty, then maybe that's different. But I think these guys getting suspended for 1 or 2 games because a ref missed a call, personally, I just think that's really unfair.
Yeah.
So in the third period, this is where the wheels kind of fall off for the Havoc. They gave up 2 goals, but we did get a goal from Dawson, as we talked about earlier, getting the second star of the game on this one. And he had an assist from Reggie. Reggie is finding a way to be productive. He did have some opportunities. He's got this little trick shot around the net kind of move that I really like to see. He tried it a couple times. It didn't work. Passing was there. It felt like they passed the puck really well. They were able to move things around. I don't feel like they got the hockey gods' puck bounces. The shots were just a little out. I mean, they definitely had the effort there. It's just sometimes it doesn't always go your way.
Well, if you look back on the season, when the Havoc play a Friday-Saturday game, they dominate on that Friday game. Usually that Saturday game is a lot closer, tighter matchup. If you look at the Birmingham, when we played Birmingham back-to-back, it was 8-0 the first night, and then the next night was really, really tight.
Yeah. So the Royal Dogs had 5 penalties in that period and scored 2 goals. The Havoc had 4 penalties and scored 1 goal, so we ended up falling this one 3-1. The Havoc were 1-6 on power plays, and that's always a hard category to judge. I feel everybody thinks that power plays should be something that you should be more productive at, but the defense tightens up so much more on power plays. Everybody's trying to help their goalie, so it's not something that you can be successful at 60, 70, 80% of the times. This is something that you really have to perfect the passing, getting guys out of position, making guys miss with moves, and shooting the puck well which unfortunately I don't feel like that was really a strong suit for the Havoc on Saturday.
Yeah.
They shot the puck, but it just happened to be a little bit out, a little high. And it's hard to win games that way. It just really is.
Yeah, when the other team is out there playing the box tight and they're really tightening it in around the goalie, that's super hard to break that box.
And Roanoke plays a very chippy game. I mean, they lead the league in penalty minutes. So I feel it's got to be tough to play teams like that like to kind of just push the button and try to get you to explode and make the big penalties while they keep doing the little trippings, hookings,
But
roughings.
you know what impressed me about them doing that was that Reggie really was calm. He didn't fight really. He was actually trying to break up.
I was going to say, it was shocking to see he didn't instigate or get into any of them. He was really trying to get guys out of fights.
Yeah, I think,
and even getting to the other team and hey, we're not going to do this.
I think really the Havoc tried not to be, but just at a certain point when you just keep poking the bear's going to roar back.
I think one thing that was really interesting to watch was seeing David Novotny come back, ex-Havoc player, super chippy guy. He was chippy when he played here, and he fits in very well in Roanoke. His style of play, just kind of that, I don't want to say cocky nature about him, but he's very much a guy that has absolutely no problem putting you in the boards.
Oh, yeah.
He has no problem talking, chirping, and kind of egging people on. And the interesting part of that about that for me was, you know, we've watched ex-Havoc players come back and they've played, and the Havoc haven't necessarily taken it easy on them, but they haven't teed off on them either. I think one of the big examples of that would be Ashton Paul.
Yeah, Ashton Paul.
You know, they would kind of just shoulder him a little bit into the glass. But when it came to Novotny, they made sure he knew what those boards felt like again.
But you know what I found funny about David Novotny? After the game on Friday, the bus left him. Their bus just left him.
No.
Yes.
That is great. I didn't know because I didn't stay Friday. I went home.
Yeah, and he was like, I can just walk. I'm good. I thought that was funny.
So around the league over the weekend, we had Knoxville and Peoria. Peoria swept, which isn't exactly shocking, but it's not something that I was hoping nor predicting. Birmingham and Pensacola, this was kind of the one that was interesting to watch. There was a lot on stake for this one. They split. Birmingham wins one outright, like we said, gave Hayden Stewart his 100th win, and they also had an overtime loss. Looking back at some of that film from Flo and some of the Bulls' comments, they felt they got cheated in that game. They had a ref down there who the Havoc fans know very much. He is definitely not my favorite ref. It seems that he's very biased to the home teams in all of the games that I've seen him call and officiate. I don't want to name drop because I'm not that kind of guy, but I hope that in the future we can get a little bit better of officiating, at least to have more consistency in these games and not so much of, well, this crew calls more of this versus this crew. And I just feel it makes the game really hard to play while the rules are spelled out evenly, they're not enforced evenly, so to say.
Yeah, well, you know, I think they're trying to do a better job of that by having two referees out there on the ice at one time. But yeah, it's still hard to get every little thing.
Well, but see, then I don't know, because then I have to disagree with you here. You know, Kessner got fouled on a breakaway on Saturday night's game near the goal in a shooting motion, and they just called a foul. And I always thought that in a shooting motion on a breakaway, that's a penalty shot.
Yeah.
So I would love for you guys to let me know what was the difference. What made it a foul versus a penalty shot? Because I was super confused, and I felt like a Royal Hines in when that happened. And I'm like, oh, great, it's a penalty shot. Kessner's got this. And then they dropped the puck.
Yeah, I was shocked too. But you know, from where I was sitting, I could see you up in your seat. You were hot. You were steaming.
I was a little livid about that one. So then we go to Macon and Fayetteville, and they split the weekend. And Fayetteville kind of made a push to show that they could be a dark horse. We'll get into the standings a little bit later and kind of what everybody needs to get into the playoffs. But they definitely built for a season of success next year if they don't make the playoffs, and showed that they have a lot of grit and determination. They ended up beating Macon 6-2, and Macon's been a pretty good team lately.
Yeah.
They've really kind of been moving up. They've made some moves, and they've really gelled together. And I mean, that's another team that can be dangerous coming into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not playing Fayetteville again because they would have a chance to ruin us.
I mean, when we went there, they definitely gave us a run for our money in Fayetteville.
Oh,
that was a tough match.
They know how to do that, for sure.
So we had Evansville and Quad City, and they played and Evansville won on Saturday 5-2. Not too shocking there. Quad City's kind of been a team that's been very up and down. I'm curious to see how it works out. I'm not sure where they're going to stand for the playoffs. I know points wise, I think they're going to be in there, but I don't think they're going to make a very deep run this year.
Yeah, I don't either. And Evansville, knowing when we went there and the crowd was non-existent, that's something that's going to hurt them in the playoffs if their crowd doesn't show up.
And I think so. And hopefully we can do another good travel trip like that. I know we had a lot of people show up for that one, and really help the boys. They said that they were definitely able to hear all the Havoc fans, and hopefully we can get another bus trip or get a group together to caravan up there and root our boys on in the playoffs. So this weekend we have the Birmingham Bulls coming to town. We've got Trash Panda Night. The jerseys dropped today. We've got Military Appreciation Night, and those jerseys dropped yesterday. Have you got a chance to look at those jerseys yet?
Well, the military jersey, I actually saw it when they accidentally dropped it and didn't mean to. I saw it, and I like the military jersey because I'm a supporter of the military.
Agreed.
So I like how they're trying to do a different style of military jersey to show support.
It would have been nice to see a red, white, and blue jersey.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Would have been very awesome.
I think the green and the digi camo is not a bad look. The digi camo looked weird to me. It wasn't like a BDU that the military wears. It was very,
I can see that.
It was just a little bit different. Nothing to say bad, but definitely not one of my favorite jerseys of the year.
Yeah, and then the Trash Pandas jersey that they released, I like it because it just reminds me of like the old style jerseys that like Babe Ruth would wear.
Yeah, the clean pinstripes.
Pinstripes.
Yeah.
I just think that also does a throwback to the history of baseball in Huntsville with the Huntsville Stars that played here for several years.
Yeah, I mean, as a baseball guy, I wouldn't say that I am a fan, and I won't say that I'm not a fan. I've only got to see pictures, and sometimes the pictures don't do them justice. I think that they're definitely clean. I'm curious to see how it all looks on the ice.
Yeah, well, Birmingham Bulls did a baseball jersey. They did
for the Barons.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So do you think they for the Trash Panda Night, do you think they come out in the red buckets or the black buckets?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what combo they put together there.
Yeah.
I think that'll be very interesting to see. I hope it's not the red because statistically they don't seem to play well with the red buckets for some odd reason.
No.
I really like them. I think they're really clean, especially with the Retro Rush jerseys, which is by far one of my favorite jerseys. I'm just curious to see how it all comes together, I guess.
Yeah, on Trash Pandas Night, I'm hoping some of the baseball players will come out and
that would be really
come
cool.
to the game just to get their face out. Say, hey, baseball season's coming up soon. We want to put our face out there for hockey fans to come see us.
Well, I think with spring training, it's kind of hard for those guys to do that.
It is,
especially being the Angels AA affiliate. Their spring training's not here.
No.
It's farther away, and it makes it really hard for those guys to come into town to show that kind of support. So it'll be interesting to see how that turnout is and what they can do. I'm almost positive we'll see Sprocket.
Yeah.
So that'll be
yeah.
really cool.
But last year the Trash Pandas did a Havoc night, and the Havoc players got to go to the game, and the Havoc players said they loved it.
That would be really cool. I would actually really like to go to that game and see that. I know the pictures they dropped today of the Trash Pandas night was them throwing a ball on the mound. I couldn't really make out who it was. I think I know who it was at the plate as well as pitching. It was kind of hard to see. I would kind of just glanced at it for a minute, so forgive me there. But we'll get back to the Bulls this weekend, and we've got the Yellow Hammer. And the Birmingham Bulls are going to do us a favor and bring it on up to Huntsville and save us some gas. And we got to speak with Dom a little bit. I know you were mainly the one talking with Dom about the Yellow Hammer. What was his take on this?
He wants the Yellow Hammer back. I said, Dom, you're our captain. You look strong with the Yellow Hammer. We got to get it back. He said, yeah, man, we got to get it back. It belongs in Huntsville.
I wonder if we can get a fan to create a poster board with Dom looking like Thor. I think that would be awesome. If somebody could do that for us, that would be absolutely amazing. And then put hashtag Orbit Sports at the bottom and let us know that you got to see this.
Oh, yes. That would be awesome.
So there's only 1 point that separates us and Birmingham, with us at 5th and them at 6th. Home ice is still very much a possibility for really the top 6 teams. I think Knoxville's probably a little bit too far out of it to get into the home ice, but you never know what could happen. There's still 3 weekends of hockey left, so that's going to be pretty interesting to watch. And the Havoc are only really 2 points back from being in that contention for home ice. With everything going on in the league, I think that this is a huge weekend for the Havoc. I think one for the battle for Bama, getting back the Hammer, beating your in-state rival, who realistically has kind of dominated the Havoc the last 2 times that they've made it down to Birmingham, and kind of getting back all that momentum and kind of shaking off the Roanoke loss and getting back into the VBC, where the Bulls statistically don't seem to really play there well. I don't know if it's the size of the arena, how loud the arena is. There's something about the VBC that the Bulls don't seem to like to come and play.
I think it might be the visiting locker room. It just being a blank slate. Because last year, being a season ticket holder, we got to go see the visiting locker room. It's just a blank slate.
Is it just plain Jane in there?
Like plain Jane as can be.
Okay. I think that this week we kind of need to get a few pieces back off of IR. Obviously, I don't know where any one of those guys stand. I'm not privy to that information. But it would be nice to get a couple of these guys back, get Cook some time with the team in practices, in skate, learning kind of how Huntsville works and getting into that organization. And I think that it'll be really good for him as well as the team to gel, figure out maybe some lines of who fits best where. And I'm sure there's going to be a couple tweaks to those. Coach Stu seems to like to kind of change things up and keep it real fluid on the lines of who's vibing with who and, you know, how everything looks. But I think I'm going to make a bold prediction, and I'm going to say, Havoc fans, grab your broom, because it's going to be a sweep.
Oh, yeah. They're going to take Birmingham to town in Huntsville. Take them to town so much that they're going to use the broom and sweep them all the way back. Not to Birmingham, past Birmingham, because they don't actually play in Birmingham. They play in Pelham. They're going to sweep them to Pelham and tell them, please stay in Pelham.
So we'll move on to a couple of other matchups this weekend. We've got Knoxville and Macon. I think this is a tough one. I think with Green in goal, as good as he's been for Knoxville, I think that we get a split. I think Macon's going to have their home ice, and that's something that's been pretty big for them this year. I just think that Macon's a good enough team to give them a run for their money and take one, if not two.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Macon will 1-1 because I think Green. Yeah, he's shown moments of being a little too green sometimes, but he's still trying to be their main goalie right now with Mundinger being out.
He's definitely not a Mundinger, but he has shown a lot of promise of being a really good counterpart to Mundinger, and I would like to see Mundinger come back soon. Just on a personal note,
Yeah,
I'd like to see him
I think
in the Ice
Green's
Bears.
kind of ready for a break because he's been taking everything because they really haven't found
Yeah.
a backup for him
Right.
that really can gel.
Yeah, it's kind of just been a kind of a rotating cast of guys coming and going there for the backup with Green. I think once Mundinger comes back, they definitely have a solid assistant goalie.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even call him a backup because I mean he can definitely start. He's proven that.
yeah.
I think we move on to the Fayetteville and Roanoke game. Fayetteville's traveling to Roanoke. Roanoke's going home after a hard weekend. I seen today that Dorsey is placed on the 14-day IR, so he won't be in for this game. I know they haven't kind of beat these guys up a little bit, and they kind of beat us up a little bit as well. But I don't think it's enough for Fayetteville to overcome. I think Fayetteville gets swept by Roanoke.
Yeah, I agree with you. Fayetteville's going to get swept so hard. We're just going to talk about it next week and be brief because they're going to probably beat them pretty bad because Roanoke is really trying to get into their playoff mode and they're going to put the pedal to the metal and keep it going because they know Fayetteville is just going to be an easy walk in the park.
I disagree with you. I don't think it's going to be easy walk in the park. I think the style of hockey that Fayetteville's been playing, it's definitely going to be closer games. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. I imagine it being 1 or 2 goal games that decide both of those games.
I mean, I think the score will look close, like a 4-2, 3-2, but Roanoke's still gonna look like on the stats they dominated.
Then we got Peoria and Evansville, and that's a 3-game stretch. But I think the Rivermen are going to kind of kick back a little bit, rest some guys, I don't want to say slack off. They obviously want to keep their momentum moving forward. But I think you worry about injuries at this point. You've got the number 1 seed locked up. You're the regular season champs. But Evansville still has a lot to play for. They can still legitimately lose home ice. It's not a lock for them to get home ice yet. But I do think Evansville wins this series 2-1.
Wow, that's pretty bold. I think Peoria gets 2 and Evansville gets 1.
Okay. I can't wait to touch base on that one next weekend. Like we said, Birmingham and Huntsville. Huntsville sweet. I think we're both pretty anonymous on that. And then we got Quad City and Pensacola. And this is one that I feel can go either way, but I'm going to be bold again. I think they split. I think Quad City's been playing pretty decently, but it's kind of been Jekyll and Hyde for them. Some games they're really good, and other games they seem to just be missing 1 or 2 components to really propel them to victory. But I think Pensacola also kind of hasn't been playing their greatest hockey, and I think they've been getting played really hard lately. So I'm going with a split.
Well, you gotta think though. Pensacola is gonna be playing for home ice, so they're gonna have that motivation. But like you said, they haven't been playing their 100% best. So I'm thinking 1 game. I think it may end up being like the Havoc's weekend, where they go that first game, they play it hard, tough, and they win. Boom, easy. The next game they come out and it's tough, grind type game, and they'll end up losing that one.
Then we have a Sunday game, Huntsville and Macon. I'm actually going to make this road trip. That's a tough stretch on a Sunday. I've requested off for work on Monday, so I'll be out of work on Monday. But I think Huntsville goes down to Macon, and they take this one on the road. And part of it being because I'm a little thoughtful on this one, and it's Tabby's birthday, and Tabby's been kind of talking to some of the players, and I know that her and Jackson Camp kind of 1 day off on birthdays, so hopefully they can go down there. We get the win on Saturday for Jackson's birthday, and then on Sunday they can pull together for Tabby's birthday.
Yeah, but you know how tough it is to play your arch rival at home,
Yeah.
and then have to go from there. Like they're probably gonna leave the night of after the game and go down to Macon.
Yeah, because that's a
play.
3:00 Eastern time game.
Yeah,
That's an early afternoon game.
Yeah, that's
so
2 o'clock our time. So to have that quick turnaround, it's gonna be hard for them to win. But I think ultimately they can do it. They have the keys to do it. They got Dawson that can help them. They got Cam Cook they can use to help them. They've got the players to do it.
Proctor's gonna go in goal.
I think that'd be a good game for Proctor to go in goal.
I think so too. I think Willie has 2 very hard games at home in the VBC, and then kind of giving him that Sunday to breathe, knowing that, we got Macon. Don't get me wrong, they're a great team, and the last time that we played them, that game was chaos at the end. So I'm curious to see how that all works out, and I just really hope to see Proctor again. I really like him in goal, and I also like the way that he is as a teammate. Beating on the boards to let him know line changes, opening the door, and kind of, even though he's not on the ice, he keeps the energy up, and he continues to find a way to contribute, even if it's in the smallest ways. It makes such a big difference for all the guys.
Yeah, because at the Booster Club party, he said he loves being a team player. That's something he loves, whether he's on the ice or not. He wants to support everybody who's out there on the ice.
And it really shows with as much excitement as he brings. And you would think he's actually in the goal, watching him on the bench. He's locked in. And for me, I love to see that. A lot of guys kind of get discouraged being on the bench. And he's just one of those guys that he's happy to be here. He's happy to be a part of something. Wants to bring everything that he can to this. And that's really exciting to see as somebody on our squad.
But to sit in section 315 and you're watching the game and you start hearing boom, 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 like you would a soccer game on a drum, and to look over and it's Alex Proctor, and then you just want to be glued to him because you're like, man, this is what we need from the fan base. We need that from just the players too.
Yeah.
Because the players on ice want support from the players on the bench. And also with him, opening the door, it helps. So that way when they're coming back in, they're not using that extra energy that they really don't have to get ready for their next shift on ice.
Yeah, so while we were at the booster party, that was one thing that we talked to Cole Golka about was, how much that actually helps them, and hearing it and knowing that the line change is coming so they know to get off the ice and opening the door and not wasting that little bit of extra energy. But with talking to them, I didn't realize, I knew they sweat. Obviously, that's a lot of physical exertion that they have going on. But I didn't realize how much they actually sweat. And some of these guys can lose 5 to 10 pounds in a game.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight to drop in one night. And it just gives a testament to how much physical strength and endurance that these guys have to endure that. That's not a regular everyday thing for anybody. So that was really cool note to find out, and just hearing that it's the little things, opening the door and how much that really helps everybody on the ice to be able to not waste the energy, and, hearing how the line changes work. I've seen it, but I never really understood that there was a system.
Yeah.
So I was talking to some of them, and they were telling me that, when you're going on, you come over the wall, and then when you're going in, you go through the door.
Yep.
Which that was really cool to find out. I've seen it, but I never really knew that it was like it's an understood agreement. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and if you notice, they're not really on the ice for more than like a minute 10, because after all that sprinting that they're doing, their bodies are starting to cramp, so they have to go sit and rest, and that's why you see them changing so much.
Yeah, and really, 45 seconds to a minute, I think, is kind of the limit. I can't imagine having to do what they do. I can't skate to save my life. I've tried. I'm going to try to learn, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, but you got to think, though, if you think hockey and soccer, sprinting on ice is a lot different than sprinting on that grass.
It takes so many more muscles.
Yeah, on ice, because
so many more.
Ice has no friction, so you have to build friction.
I wish I could just float backwards like they skate backwards. That'd be really cool, but I can't. So we'll look into the SPHL standings. the Rivermen, regular season champs, they've got first place locked up.
2 years in a row.
Essentially, they've got home ice. I don't think that there's any guess on that one. Roanoke's a lock now after the weekend's games. Evansville's a lock in third. Pensacola's a lock in fourth. And this is where things kind of get tricky and we start talking magic numbers. Huntsville needs 2.
Yep.
Two and in. Birmingham needs 3. Knoxville needs 7.
Ooh, that's tough. 7 is tough. But 7's a lucky number, though.
It is, but here's where things kind of get wacky. So Quad City must win out and have Macon lose 2 or Knoxville lose 2 or Birmingham lose 3. So I'm hoping we can help Quad City here and get 2 of those right out of the way, and then Quad City just needs to do their job and hope for 1.
Well, we get those 2, we're in. So
exactly.
Helps them and us.
Exactly. The one that makes it really hard is Macon. Macon needs 10.
You're making that up.
I'm not. They essentially have to win every game.
That's impossible.
They have a tough stretch, especially with
because the Havoc are going to beat them.
You beat
the
me
Havoc
to the
are going to
punch.
shut them down, bro.
You beat me to the punch. I think the one that seems almost mind-blowing and mathematically impossible is Fayetteville. Fayetteville must win out and needs Quad City to lose 2 of 4 and Macon to lose 3 of their 6, somewhere right around there, or Knoxville to lose 3 of their 4. So they have to win out and need help from multiple teams.
The marksmen missed their shot.
I hate to say it because it's still a lot of hockey left, but I do kind of agree. I don't think the marksmen make it, and I think Macon ends up pulling it out over Quad City.
Well, if you look at the standings, I think the first 3 teams are locked for home. But when it comes to 4th and down,
I wouldn't say that.
I think the first 3 teams are going to hold strong. But 4th and down, that's going to be tricky.
I think maybe not this week's schedule, but I think next week's schedule is really going to be the tell of that. And I can't say I agree with you there. I still think the Havoc and Birmingham both still have an opportunity to get in depending on what other teams do.
Yeah.
As much as I would like for other teams to kind of coast here, I don't think it's possible. I think if you're Pensacola, you can't take your foot off the throttle. If you're Evansville, you can't take your foot off the throttle. Roanoke either. I mean, the Havoc aren't many points behind any of these guys, much less Birmingham's just 1 behind us. Everybody's still in it. It's early to tell, but we're going to make some predictions on this. And I know it's early, and we'll do them again next week. Who's your top 4? Who do you think are the top 4 teams that get home ice?
Well, we already know Peoria. They're already number 1. They already had it locked down. They're just so far ahead. Evansville, I mean, I think they will, but I'm not sure if they'll win the championship because their home crowd just won't. Their home crowd just isn't helping them this year.
I don't think that they win the championship.
And I mean, Roanoke, they're strong. I think they'll be number 3. And Huntsville, to me, it all depends on their last 4 games. If they sweep their last 4 games, then they'll get it right out.
Well, we got Birmingham this weekend with Macon.
Yep.
And then you've got Quad City.
Quad City on Easter weekend, yep.
So that'll be interesting. I do agree with you in that standing. I think right now, looking at how everybody's played, I think Roanoke is the team that can give everybody a run for their money.
Oh, yes.
I think Roanoke is a team that can win the championship.
Yeah, Roanoke is out for blood. But, one thing that our captain Dom said at the Booster Club party is that his second favorite arena is going to Quad City.
Yeah.
He loves the size of it, and he wishes they'd put a little more fans in there, but that's his second favorite arena. So I think with a lot of the players actually liking that with him, that helps the Huntsville.
I think so too. And when we talked to him, he said the big thing is how close the hotel is in proximity to the arena, how many restaurants and stuff there is in that downtown area, and just kind of gives them a little bit of freedom, time-wise as well as personally, to kind of do their own thing but also not be tied to the bus.
Yeah, I think it's really similar to Huntsville too. How they can walk and have a hotel. The visiting teams have a hotel close by, and they can walk. It was like when the bus left David, he was able to walk to his hotel.
Right.
So I think that was pretty cool that they're similar their downtowns are designed similarly.
So next week we have a pretty big special announcement for this one. We're gonna have a special guest on next week, and we're gonna get to talk to Gary Glenberg.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I am too. Number 5 was definitely one of my favorites on the team. Needless to say, I was a little sad to see him go.
Yeah.
I got a chance to talk to him and his family in the concourse during family weekend. Absolute amazing person, great hockey player. So we'll dive into that next week.
Yep. And for avid watchers of our podcast, he's the number 5 that's in the intro.
He is. He absolutely is. We've got Trash Pandas coming up, 11 days away. So we're getting there. I can't wait for Trash Panda baseball to start. Huge baseball guy. I can't wait to cover it and kind of get my hands dirty back in baseball again. It's been a long time for me.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think we're going to get a taste of it this weekend with the Havoc doing Trash Pandas night. I think Sprocket's going to come out, and that's just going to get us pumped.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm sure you're going to get a picture of Sprocket because I'm sure you love Sprocket.
I do love Sprocket.
I mean, Sprocket's a cool mascot.
He really is.
I mean, Chaos and Ruckus are my first favorites.
I'm going to try to see if I can get all 3 of them.
But Sprocket,
Put it like right here.
That Sprocket's just a very unique design of a mascot.
Yeah. It really is. And I mean, the whole name, right?
Yeah.
A Trash Panda as a raccoon. I love it. I love the creativity of it. I think that they're going to have a pretty decent ball club this year. I'm really excited to see what they can do.
Oh yeah. And with me not knowing a lot about baseball, just being able to go to a few games here and there, learn how the atmosphere is different there versus going to a Huntsville Stars game. Because I went to a Huntsville Stars game as a kid, and I'm really hoping that it's a whole lot better atmosphere than what that was.
I will say that's one of the kind of the things about baseball. Trying to watch baseball on television, even for somebody who is an avid baseball fan, is so hard. It's not a lot of action going on during the games. But going to a game with the Cracker Jacks and the hot dogs, the beers, it's hard to beat that. So I'm excited to get you out to a couple games and get to talk a little bit while we're out there for sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm so excited.
Well, Fraser, anything else you want to add on for this week?
I think that pretty much covers it.
That wraps it up. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening in. Until next week, stay strapped in. You're in orbit.